We introduced viewers to Brock Lesnar last October. He was an immigrant from the WWE, and he is now arguably the face of the UFC. Why is that? Because of UFC 100. That fight and the post-fight episode might have launched the beginning of the golden age of the UFC.
Considering this guy's roots, I think the one thing that everybody wants to know is, was this some type of stunt to foster some publicity to make Brock Lesnar the face of UFC?
Are they just taking Vince McMahon's model to the next level, MMA style?
Well, afterward, Dana White suggested that. He said that was not real, what you saw there. And then Brock Lesnar comes out to the press conference and said, yeah, I was kind of living in the WWE world there for a bit. He clearly knows the value of playing the heel, being the villain, and he is now the UFC's first villain. Brock Lesnar is a 6'3", 275-pound mountain of anger, and it's paying off. In July at UFC 100, he defended his Ultimate Fighting Championship heavyweight title and avenged his only career loss by pummeling Frank Mir, then taunting him.
His rants against Mir, getting in his face and screaming as Frank is bloodied and beaten, it was embarrassing for the sport, and it was uncalled for.
Well, it's not that I dislike Frank. It's for the fact that he beat me. That burns deeper than anything else.
As boos rained down on the 32-year-old champion, Lesnar directed his anger toward a UFC sponsor and the crowd.
He ran around the ring, flicking off the crowd. In the post-fight interview, he challenged the UFC sponsorship of Bud Light by saying he'd like a Coors Light. Dana White was very upset, and he had every right to be.
I was horrified. Obviously, I didn't see it coming. I didn't expect it. I wasn't happy about it.
Here comes the pain!
Brock Lesnar has always wanted to fight. 5 years ago, he was labeled the next big thing, but in the make-believe world of World Wrestling Entertainment.
I was a white guy that looked like he was chiseled out of, concrete.
He's a genetic freak. If God was to sit there and, build a warrior, I think it would come out to be Brock Lesnar.
500-pound superplex! Oh, my God!
He got the fame, the fortune, and the girl. Raina Merrill, a.k.a. Sable, the former wrestling diva and Playboy centerfold.
It's living the life of a rock star. You know, I had 2 Hummers, Mercedes, Corvette.
Living large.
I was living, airplanes, 4 or 5 houses.
But he gave it all up to pursue a career in MMA, where he has surprised critics by winning 4 of his 5 fights.
I'm the backwards guy, I go into the entertainment business, now I'm in the fighting, but somehow it's just kind of making sense to me.
It makes sense if you know where he's from, Webster, South Dakota, a town of fewer than 2,000 people near the Minnesota border. Lesnar grew up on this dairy farm, struggling to help his family hold on to a property headed to foreclosure.
We couldn't pay our bills. I can remember going to town to get a load of grain and the elevator not letting me have any. That's when I realized I want more than what Webster, South Dakota had to offer to me.
So Lesnar literally fought his way out.
He likes to beat on people. He grew up beating on people. Him and his brothers were fighting all the time.
What is it like to simply maul somebody?
Well, it's a good feeling. Handling another human being and making him feel less than you was, I don't know, something that I got a thrill out of.
In high school, Lesnar channeled his aggression into football and wrestling. In 1998, he won a junior college national title as a heavyweight. 2 years later, as a senior at the University of Minnesota, he won the NCAA championship. Soon, World Wrestling Entertainment invited him to join its stable of showmen.
I'd never watched a lick of wrestling, and I'm like, oh man, that's not wrestling. That's that ain't real. But then they slapped a lot of money on the table.
Here comes the pain!
Only $250,000.
Lesnar was such a hit with fans that in 2002, he was crowned the youngest WWE champion in history at age 25. The money kept flowing into the millions, but it came at a steep price. What kind of injuries did you have?
I've torn both of my knees up, severe back pain, ribs, neck issues. I wrestled with my MCL blown out and 3 broken ribs, and I wrestled that way for 6 months because I became the champion. You're gone 300 days a year, and you're miserable climbing the walls in the locker room, waiting to come through the curtain in a different town every night that is exactly the same as the night before. There's like 2 years that I don't remember in my life.
Why don't you think you remember that period very well?
Vodka and pain pills. That's why I don't remember it. I was in a lot of pain, mentally and physically.
Were you addicted?
I don't know, what's addiction, you know? Did I take too damn many pills? Yeah. Did I drink too much? Yes. Did I become aware of that I was drinking and taking too many pills? Yes, I did.
Look at this. There's a lot of pain in wrestling. I know countless wrestlers that are all dead today from having addictions to painkillers.
I just didn't want to be in the locker room 20 years from now looking like these guys and still doing the same thing. Being an entertainer wasn't fulfilling my needs, so I just bowed out and exited the building.
In 2004, Lesnar walked away from the WWE and a reported 7-year, $45 million contract for a tryout with the NFL's Minnesota Vikings. His potential salary? The league minimum of $230,000.
There's Lesnar once again having a good time. Yeah.
But his skills as a defensive lineman were just too raw, and he kept getting into fights.
It was a way for me to get out of doing something I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So, let's start a fight.
Lesnar was one of the final players cut at the Vikings camp. Soon, he was without a paycheck and falling into another deep funk.
His tattoo on his chest shows exactly that. I mean, I asked him, I was like, what was that tattoo for? And he's like, it felt like I always had a knife at my throat.
Lesnar set his sights on MMA. In 2007, he lobbied the president of Ultimate Fighting Championship, Dana White, to give him a chance. At first, White doubted any WWE star could do well in a sport where the outcome isn't scripted.
They're athletic and those guys are in great shape, but I wouldn't call it competition. Coming over to mixed martial arts, it's a big jump.
Lesnar's physique also raised big questions about steroids. You're just so big, and you come out of the world of pro wrestling.
We're done. Thanks, guys.
When you first sat down with Brock, did you ask him about steroids?
No, listen, in this day and age, with everything that's going on in sports, if you're taking steroids, you're a moron.
As of right now, there was another...
White points out that his fighters are tested before and after each bout.
I know what he's asking.
Moments after Lesnar walked out of the interview, he addressed the speculation about steroid use.
I have never failed a drug test.
And here we go!
Lesnar's UFC debut was in February 2008. Before a sold-out crowd, he was pounding Frank Mir, the former heavyweight champion, but made a mistake, was taken to the ground, and lost. Still, White liked what he saw.
That was a fun fight, dude. That was so fun. Dude.
It ain't over. I hope it ain't.
Lesnar's next bout was the following August. He won, breaking the orbital bone of veteran fighter Heath Herring just seconds into the first round.
Can you see me now? Can you see me now?
Dana White saw enough to give the relatively inexperienced Lesnar a shot at the UFC heavyweight title against 5-time champion Randy Couture, who at the time was 45 years old and more than 50 pounds lighter than Lesnar. You know, he's got hands like pie plates, and they hit like anvils. Can you take one of those punches?
I intend not to.
Couture's plan failed. Lesnar dropped him in the second round with a right hand and became the UFC heavyweight champion, the fastest ever to earn that title. Lesnar's career transition is now complete, from fake fighter to feared fighter. His explosive performance during and after his first title defense proves that Lesnar is the face of the UFC and its first villain.
Can't discount just how dominant he's been in a short amount of time in the ring. But a lot of people don't like him. They don't like his antics. They don't like his WWE stuff. There is a real reaction to Lesnar in the way that he does go about his business, and it's not a positive one.